did wash my hands after I used the restroom. You know, when you come home, first thing, wash your hands and then rehydrate. It doesn't matter what time of the day you get out, it is hot. And I think I finally hear the locals saying it's hot because, woo-wee. So I had 2 appointments today. The first appointment, I wanted to go to Casco Viejo again because I went to I wanted, for the longest time, you know, we have a meeting once a month for our group, a meetup. And I've always wanted to have a policeman come talk to us. Hola, Deborah. So I mustered the courage last week after I had done that tour. And I found the Oficina de Turismo, you know, of tourism, that is right across from the presidential palace. So I went in there, you know, with my Spanish. I said, I'm looking for someone who can speak some English to come talk to our ladies. I explained what our group was. And then they're like, I'm like, is there anybody who speaks English? And they said, one. So they went and got this young man, tall and handsome. And he said he spoke some English. It seems to be a little broken. I can't tell anybody their English is broken because my Spanish can be broken. So I told them the meeting would be this week. Oh, this lady, did she send me the link? And they agreed. So he gave me a paper and he said, okay, put all the information, the date and time, where you want to have this done, and we'll get it done. So I am 90% confirmed for a restaurant. So another day I spent yesterday in Casco Viejo going from one restaurant to another to find a place that can hold about 20 ladies who we're not going to kill ourselves in the heat. A lot of them, and I wanted to stay in the same neighborhood of Casco because that's where the office is. If somebody's going to do something for you, you want to make it as comfortable for them as possible. So I said, you know, I don't want to tell them we're going to be in San Francisco when they're all the way south. And so I said, I have to find a place in Casco Viejo. Well, it wasn't that easy. A lot of places, you know, this guy had a rooftop, smack lounge. It's, you know, I've never been. So I went up there and then I'm like, but it's open. And then he's like, well, we have ventilators. And I'm like, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? I don't think that's going to work. And then other places would be open. I said, no, I need an enclosed space. It was really, really hard. So finally yesterday I went to a place and they had multiple gathering salas, they call them, rooms. And finally we agreed on a little room that was a little bit tight, but they swore to me they can fit 20 people in there. So usually when we do our meetings, we have like a poll to say, yes, you're going to be there, right? So I told the sisters, I said, okay, it can hold 20, so you make sure you tell me you're gonna come. Then I had to do a deposit, you know, it's a bit complicated because it's a bit higher end. It's not like, you know, a fund type. You know, whenever you have a group and you go to a restaurant, they want to say, when you say separate checks, they're like, because they have to do 20, it's just too much for them. So usually I kind of be nicer and say to people, you know, tip well. So if we want to go back, we don't have any problem. So finally we agreed on this. So I'm still waiting to get the link to make the deposit so I can lock it up. But I think we're up to 18, so we're good. So after I did that today, I went to a place, I had a little coffee. I think I posted something about that. But this is what I'll talk to you about. Last week, I went to a place called Siembra Panama. I had to find the place because I took a bus from where I am to Cinco de Mayo, which is the second largest transportation hub. Took the bus to a big road called Tumba Muerto, and then got off in El Dorado, which is Chinatown. And then when I look on my Google map, it says 8-minute walk to the place. I'd never been there, and I was sweating like I'm like, I don't think I want to walk in this heat. So I called an Uber, and this is where the guy told me that Jesus was born in Panama. That's why we're protected from the earthquakes. I had such a good laugh with him. So when I went there and I said, I want a guacho. By the time it was 1 o'clock, I said, I want a guacho. And there's a guy outside. The place is packed. It's tight. People park. And he said, it's a quaint area. You know, they have hills and individual homes. So sometimes when you think of Panama City, you see the high rises. They're not all high rises. We do have neighborhoods where they have homes. So he said, oh no, it's all gone. I'm like, oh, what else do you have? Because they were talking about soups and stuff. And it's got a fruteria on the side where you can buy, they were having pineapple and papaya, the usual potatoes and stuff. I said, no, we don't have any sopa. He said, the only thing we have pollo asado, which is grilled chicken with rice. They do the rice with black beans and with coconut. And, you know, they always give you some kind of plantain or a little bit of salad, what they call salad. Well, I did have 3 pieces of cucumbers, so I was grateful for that. So because it was so hot, and they have some drinks that were not too sweet, so I got a drink. Did I get maracuya, which is passion fruit? I think that's what I had. And that's where I got the passion fruit hot sauce. I think I showed it to you. Passion fruit hot sauce. So, and they said, no, you have to pre-order on Monday for a pickup for Tuesday. I'm like, wow, this is fancy. So yesterday, it was like 12:30 when I remembered, and so I sent a text. I had taken, they had a WhatsApp number on the receipt. So I text, and I'm like, I'd like to order un guacho para mañana, for tomorrow. And then somebody said, oh, you should have ordered by 9:30. And I'm like, what's up with all the rules? He said, well, let me ask someone if you can, order it. In the meantime, do your Yapi, which is that app, and pay for your guacho, $9.75. So I went ahead and I paid for $10. And then, so today, after I left Casco Viejo, I took that cute little electric bus again to the Cinco de Mayo terminal, and then I just walked across and caught the bus to Tumba Muerto to go back to El Dorado. But this time I knew exactly where I was going. So, I had my parasol to shade from the sun. And, everybody, they have the stores and they have hang, I guess. So they were, kind of shielded. So I kept walking along the side. It wasn't so bad. And when I got there, they were, hola, Chef Brooklyn. Aw, you're just so sweet. So I got there, the place was packed again. Now last week, I decided to stay and eat indoors, and I have some footage I'll post later on. It was quaint. I was the only foreigner there. It's a local spot. There is really no sign. It's a hole in the wall, right? There's no sign, but I found it. I was so excited. And I'm not going to post it because I don't want people to just kind of descend upon these people. So everybody was ordering their stuff. So you can order your guacho, and then you can eat it. So when I got there, there were 2 left because I told him I would come and pick it up by 12 noon. And I think I got there at 12. It was a little bit later than 12. So he said, para aquí o para llevar? I'm like, no, para llevar. So to take away. So I brought a little bit of these. This friend of mine gave me, she bought them from Amazon. And then you can roll them into like a little pack. So you can throw them in your bag. So wherever you go, you always have something. Because otherwise you end up paying a few cents for another bag. And every single one of us has a drawer full of shopping bags. We don't. So I said, okay, I know how to get back home now. So last week I figured a nice way to get back home, because this is the thing with Panama City. And we all lament that the engineers or whoever, the planners who are planning the city did not do such a good job, because you have so many one-way road, so you always have to do a circle roundabout to get to and fro. You can walk easy, but to drive or on the bus, not the same way. But this one, I was able to just cross over to the mall side and then catch a bus. But then which bus? One bus will take you to Albrook. So if I go to Albrook, the main terminal way south, then I have to walk this long leg between the terminal and the metro station. And I don't want to do that. So last week I was able to, I got on one bus that says Paitilla. Paitilla is another main hub where we have a mall, Megapolis. And then I was watching, you know what I do usually, in my Google Maps, I put my address and then I say walk if I'm not sure. And then when it gets to about 15 minutes or less, I get off. But when I realized last week I got off, it was right at the Iglesia del Carmen, which is another big metro station. And from that, it's 2 stations and I get off and then I walk my 2 blocks home. So I was looking for that. But today, at 2 o'clock, one of our SWRA sisters is going to have her first YouTube Live. And I want to be able to support her. So I was like, I want to get home. I want to get home by 1:30 so I can do the quick live and then be ready to watch my sister. And I got here at 1:25. You hear that? Okay. So, I got my guacho, and I want to do a reveal with you. Guacho is a very local dish. It is a Panamanian risotto type of dish. The soupy rice, you can put meat in it or you can put seafood. When my daughter was visiting, we went to my favorite fonda, El Motete, and they just happened to have guacho. So I said, oh, and you know, I like to kind of try different things. Even when I'm, hola HBS, even when I am, you know, dining with friends, and I'm like, why don't we just kind of take different things and then share, right? But today, I didn't have, so I carried this with me, and then this one, he sent me a text about it's a special type of guacho. He called it, not relleno, but he said it's meat. It's not, it is not going to be seafood. And I was trying, you know, I don't try to eat, not to eat meat, but this is about culture, right? I need to see what it looks like. And chances are I'm not going to eat the whole thing. I'm going to take some pictures, and then I'm going to, you know, trash the rest. I don't want to eat a lot of rice, you know that. But guacho, and I'll post, he calls it a special name. But you know, one of the taglines for the business is Sabores del Campo, you know, flavors of the interior. Or the farm, right? So, this is what I got. And of course with, ooh, if it's got ground beef, that's a definite no-no. Yes, hit the like button, guys. Thank you, Chef Brooklyn. Ooh. Okay, this one comes with, this is what you call chicharron. You know I can't eat all that. This is a piece of pork. Chicharron is sliced pork, or I think they call it, or what do we call that? There's a name for it. Where you get all 3 layers. So you got the skin, you got the fat, and you have the meat. Now chicharron, when I was in Peru, this is something that is really, they love that stuff. And when I came back from Peru, I found a Peruvian restaurant, and I did have chicharron with guacamole. Apparently those two always go together. And in another place I saw, I have a list of 160 restaurants in my phone that I say I'm going to try. but I know it would be at my detriment, so I can't eat all that. Okay. And then that's chicharron, you know, crispy skin. And you know, in the States, you buy them in a bag. They're not really chicharron, but when you're making, what is the plantain dish that you make? Ooh. You hear that? But the skin is good. Not eating the fat. So what else does he have in here? Pork belly, that's it. This is pork belly. Transformers. Okay, so definitely not gonna put that in my body. All right, then they have some maduros, which is sweet plantain. Now those are good. All right, but that was just on the side. Let's see what's in here. It looks like beans. This is supposed to be guacho. This is not something I've ever made because I don't want to put meat in any of my dish like that, my dishes. The only meat I'm allowing myself to use is the oxtail, nothing else. You know, I think once I bought shanks, that was good too. Okay. Let's see. Now, you know, most of this is gonna go in the trash, so we are not gonna save anything. All right, this is the guacho. You know, like I said, it is like a soupy rice. But of course, everybody would make it differently. Different textures. I see peppers, red peppers, yellow peppers. It almost looks like it's got ground beef in it. I'm not digging this at all. And it's got huge pieces of this is yam. I mean, it's not bad, but it is not something I would be. I mean, I paid $10 for it just because I wanted to see what it's like. You see, you have peppers, yellow peppers, red peppers. Corn. But you can barely see the rice, but I see peas. It doesn't even look like it's rice. It looks like millet or some kind of grains. It's okay. Not something I would cook. I could see putting some okra in this. But let me tell you, people were standing in line for this. Yam, peppers, beans. We have like a type of red bean they call chilicanos or something like that from Chiriquí, where they harvest it. But nope. So I tried, and what is that? This is a piece of like cow foot. All right. So just because I want to experience a local dish does not mean I'm going to fall in love with it, okay? Because this, to me, would be kind of fattening. This is the yam, or nyame. We call that corn. Corn is high glycemic, so I don't usually eat corn. And peppers, yeah. But, not for me. I tasted, and then this pork belly, can you imagine me putting all that in my body? So you got the skin, you got the fat. I'm gonna eat the skin, but not the fat. Skin. Gelatinous. Alright. So, but if it was guacho de mariscos with seafood, I probably enjoy seafood. The one that we got at Motete, you know, it had the shrimp and the oysters and corvina. Yeah, I probably would enjoy that. Hola, Marie. So, some typical dishes, I'm watching the time, some typical dishes of Panama: rice and peas, welcome guandu. Maybe that's the bean they have in here. They have a pigeon peas here that is black, and then they use that a lot in holiday meal. And they cook the rice. Every rice in Panama is cooked with cocoa, all right? With coconut milk. And they get the cocoa and peel it and all that. It's not from a can. So that's usually okay. Fish, pescado frito, fried fish. Or if you want the fish sauteed, you call it a la plancha. They don't do fish nuggets. It's not a thing here. But they'll put it in guacho or in soups. Because if you go to the fonda, when I was there with my daughter, they had the guacho, and then they had, what is it? El sancocho. Sancocho is the national dish of Panama. It's chicken, the broth, oregano, culantro, and ñame, which is a type of yam. That's it. If you put anything else in the soup, it is not sancocho, and they will be the first to tell you. Eso se ve rico, pero no es sancocho. If you use any kind of other meat in the soup, he said, ese es sopa. I invited a Panamanian friend, nurse friend here one time, and I'm like, oh, es sancocho. She said, no, Maggie, eso es sopa. No es sancocho. Don't mess with the names. All right? Nope, sancocho does not have anything else. If you put carrots, celery, corn, that is not sancocho. Now remember, Jamaican soup has all kinds of things. We make squash soup, but we don't put corn in it. If you see corn in the soup, it's not Haitian soup, and it's not sancocho. They have, and then when I was there with my daughter, like I said, they had the guacho, they had the sancocho, but they have sopa de mariscos. You can have seafood soup, sopa de pollo, sopa de carne. Carne, they say that, and that's usually beef. So you can have different kind of sopa and soups, but don't call it sancocho. You have to be culturally correct, okay? So what else do they like? They use chuletas. Chuletas is pork, like pork chops, but much thinner. I remember one day I had a couple of apples in the refrigerator, and I'm like, I like to cook apples with pork chops back in the day. And I said, well, maybe I'll try that. You know, I haven't had pork in so long, so I didn't know what it was going to do to my tummy. But they had chuletas so thin, and I wanted to have a thick pork chops that you can slice and then put the apple mixture in there, you know, with the caramelized, you know, with the brown sugar. Couldn't find it, so I couldn't do that. So they do chuletas, and then they put them in some kind of sauce. Sometimes they use a lot of what they call patas. Patas is the cow foot, and they chop it with all that gelatin, and then they'll cook it in some kind of sauce. We're gonna find that. Oh, fried chicken. In the morning, you see fried gizzard, the heart, the liver. eating for breakfast. Plantains. Yuca is big. They'll have, and I'm gonna do some. Like I said, I want to try them, but I know like this one I can't eat that, and I can't eat all that. I will taste, but I can't take it on. So yuca, I love at El Motete. They boil it, and then they put some herb and some like parsley and stuff. That is good. And of course, I'm like, that is carbs. Or they'll fry the yuca, okay? The other thing you're going to find on a Panamanian diet a lot is corn tortillas. Because of the indigenous culture, there's a lot of corn product. Tamales, corn tortillas. Oh my God, I had a corn tortilla at El Motete for breakfast one time. They put all the peppers and the onion and the ground beef in that corn that they press and mold it. They have a machine here. They get the corn and then they grind it, and then they squeeze the water out and they shape it like in a tortilla form, and then they put that mixture of peppers and onions and tomatoes and that ground beef well seasoned, and they roll it like an empanada and they deep fry it. That was good. I've had it one time. I said I can't afford to have it again. It was so good. So every time I go, I'm like, oh, don't look, Maggie, don't look. Yeah. What else do they like that is typical? Fried rice is something that you see a lot here because of the Chinese culture. When you go to the store, you see a lot of soy sauce. I can't do a lot of soy sauce, so I usually am not eating something like that. And then they'll put the peas and the cut pork and all kind of stuff. The other thing they like here is salchichas. They call that, it's sausage. Now, there is sausage that is made here that they mix with all the spices and put it in the casing and wrap it. You go to the store in San Felipe, people are going out with bags of it, and then they grill it. That's salchichas. But they also love just plain hot dogs. In the morning, oh my God. You go to a fonda, they slice the hot dog, and then they put it in some kind of sauce, and they're eating it for breakfast. I'm not a breakfast eater, and my stomach just revolts just looking at it. I'm like, hot dog. First of all, hot dogs. Do you really know what's in those things? No. That's awful. Things that they don't want. They just grind it, spice it up, put all kind of flavoring stuff in it, and then case it and then sell it to you. Like, give it to your kids. Ugh, that's terrible food. But they eat that a lot here with the corn tortillas in the morning. Empanadas for breakfast. Empanadas with chicken. Empanadas with queso, cheese. Empanadas with carne, beef, ground beef. Empanadas with maduros, plantain, sweet plantain. Or a combination of 2 or 3 empanadas, you get the, what do we call that? The dough, right? You put it on there and then you shape it and then deep fry. So in the morning, people are grabbing one of those or 2, a cup of coffee, or shishame. I told you about shishame, which is that corn porridge. And I don't eat that either. I don't like that. So let's see for food. I'm talking about typical Panamanian. So definitely the guacho, definitely chicharron, lots of fried food. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of good things to say about the diet here. If you're not careful, and people, look at this. This is a piece of fat. You can't put that in there. And then, okay, the carnivores, don't come after me. I'm not into carnivore eating. This guy was showing the other day on Instagram or I don't know, TikTok, and it's like, oh, my wife and I, we so happy we decided to just eat meat and eggs. And I'm like, more power to you, brother. I couldn't, my stomach couldn't stand it, so I couldn't do that. But the plantain is a weakness. I haven't had plantains in a while, so these little sweet things are looking at me. That's dangerous. So I've had the guacho, whatever special guacho with the meat. That's a no bueno for me. I can try it at El Motete with the mariscos. I would eat the mariscos, maybe a couple of spoonfuls of the rice, and then the rest of it goes in the trash. But I can't eat that. Sopa, I love sancocho. I absolutely adore sancocho, and I make it, and it's been approved by Panamanian. Ese sancocho, muy bien. I'm like, oh, gracias, right? You want the locals to give you their blessing when you try their food. And a pescado frito now, that's my thing. Pescado frito, fried snapper with the patacones, that's a weakness. That is a weakness. I can go to confession with that one. And you know, salad, when you say salad here, if you go to a fonda, you say salad, they're gonna give you, what do we call that? Coleslaw, or they might have a little few pieces of lettuce. Tomatoes, maybe. They'll slice some cucumbers sometimes. So that's what I had the other day. And I was like, oh, whenever you see salad somewhere, you get all excited. Ooh, 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 ooh. Because it's not a thing. It's not a thing in Panama. You have to look for it. Now you have restaurants, right? In restaurants who cater to visitors or other people from other places. Yeah, they've been indoctrinated that they know what we like. So we have Italian restaurant, Greek restaurants, all the Latin American restaurants are here. So, and you know, Colombian cuisine kind of mirrors Panamanian because you know, they used to be together, but they do a lot of soupy beans, kind of like the Puerto Ricans, where they don't do that so much. The only beans you're gonna find in soupy consistency here is lentejas, lentils. But when you go to okay, I gotta go. When you go to a fonda, they'll have the lentils. The thing that they're most generous with is the arroz blanco. White rice, you know, you have to say, oh, yeah, that's enough. Or anytime you order soup, they're gonna say, arroz? And we're like, no, gracias. I usually say, no, I don't want the arroz. But they'll give you a lot of arroz. But when you say you want lenteja, they take a little half a spoon and put it on. They're not very generous with the lentils. And lentils are cheap. So I can figure it out. But they'll put the meat, the chicken in there, give you all that gravy. It's like, so it's a process. You have to experience it. But you know, I'm telling you, a lot of people here love this food. I'm like, y'all better watch out. It's not that healthy. Really not that healthy. All right, hit the like buttons, guys. I just wanted to do unveiling with you. So, no puedo. I can't. So, it's okay that I wanted to try it. But, to say that, no, not my jam. I need to find a plastic to put it in and just not dump it in my trash. So I don't think I'll be going back to that place because there's really nothing else that attracts me there. But that was the experience I wanted. And you know, I went in the heat and I walked. It's all about the process. It's all about enjoying the experience, right? And it's heavy. And you know, when you get there, they ask you, do you want to eat it here or you want to take it with you? So I took it with me because I wanted to get home. But Nope. All right, you guys. So, I will see you. Let's see, tomorrow is Wednesday. I think what I've decided, I'm going to do an intuitive video on Wednesday and then a neighborhood tour video on Friday. All right? So look for that. Good food planning, Clayton. They love baked beans and hot dogs. Here, they like hot dogs, but I don't see a lot of baked beans. Arroz con pollo is good. Yeah, they'll have some of that. I think I see more Chinese style fried rice here than I say arroz con pollo, like you see in Puerto Rico. Can you make the empanadas? Of course, but remember, I'm boycotting flour, so that takes me out. And then you have to fry it. I guess you could put it in the oven if you just egg wash it. You could do that. But just not now. I mean, it's a regular dough. I'm sure my dough would be nicer because I put the butter in it to get the marbling. Like if I'm making a quiche Lorraine or you're making an apple pie, it's the same base. Pâte brisée, we call it. You know, you do the dough. And if you're going to do something sweet, like there is a dish, maybe when I have my next party, you use, I have a big dish that I found here, like you do the quiche Lorraine. You do the pâte brisée, meaning you put some shortening in there and butter and then you see the marbling, and then you put there, and then you cook some peaches or apple, put a little bit of brown sugar and your spices in the middle, and then you just fold it in, right? And then you do the egg wash and then you bake it. It's not quite like a pie because the middle is open, just the edges are folded in. Yes, so you could do that. But like I said, anything that requires me to put like a whole cup of white sugar in any recipe, dessert, I can do it. Because remember, I have to cook food that I eat, and I'm not eating that. One day you should make one of your local Panamanian meals. You there long enough now to be considered local. I don't know, local expat, isn't that like a oxymoron? I can make sancocho, but the Panamanian meals, like I said, I'm not frying anything here in my kitchen, and a lot of the things I can't eat. All that rice, chuletas, which is pork, sorry. I gotta cook food that I can eat. Yep. So, but anyway, we have multiple restaurants here. You could have anything you want. And I think one thing I'm gonna do though, guys, I'm gonna go to the different vegetarian, whole food, plant-based kind of places. A lot of them are not vegetarian places, but they have vegetarian options, right? Especially in Casco Viejo where I was, because they are used to foreigners. All right, guys, it is 2 o'clock. One of the soups would be good. Yes, I love soup. I've made sancocho here. You know I'm good at making soups, but the sancocho is really, really good. And it's real brothy. This is a very light soup. It's nothing like what I made, you know, like the gumbo or what I did yesterday. You don't put any marinara, nothing to thicken it. No, it's to broth. This is like the hangover soup. They call it a hangover soup, right? If you had some alcohol, you have a cold, feel-good soup, that is the replacement for like your chicken soup. Yeah, but it's very simple. Don't put anything else in it. No carrots, no celeries, no noodles, nada. If you want to do chicken noodle soup, we can do that too, but not sancocho. And you know, I feel a certain way about not changing somebody's culture, you know, their food. And that's why I get upset with this particular chef. He puts chilies in everything, and I'm like, this is not the original recipe. If you're gonna make your own recipe, call it something else. That's my own pet peeve. Respect the culture. If you're gonna make their food, make it exactly the way they want you to make it. Or call it something else. That's just me, right? I don't know. Am I far-fetched, man? All right. I will see you guys. You guys are like me. You have nothing to do this afternoon. But I'm gonna log in and check on my sister and see how she's doing. All right, y'all. Have a good afternoon. Thank you for the thumbs up. We're still missing some folks with the thumbs up. I was gonna get my sister another one of these salsa picante, but the line, I was like, I'm not waiting. Thumbs up. Come on, you guys, before you leave. All right, 10 more. I can't believe I went all the way over there to get this dish, and I just didn't even eat it. That's what you do. You enjoy the experience. See, when I do that, I'm like, and then I walked home coming back. The Google Maps says 15 minutes. It was more like 20. But I said, I got my steps in. So I can't look at it as a waste of time. It's not. All right. Just a few more, and then I'll log off. It's like Stephanie Perry said, you go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead. I'll wait. You know, Exodus Summit is, I think they have 70 people going on a luncheon, and then they're gonna have a rooftop. Uh, that's growing too. And so many women are just wanting to be together and meet each other. It's popping here. Yes. Have a good day, y'all. God bless. Thank you so much, Antoinette. Oh, Gainer. That's the. I wanted to say the Reverend. I know she doesn't want to be called that. I forgot. Rewriting Jim's story. Rewriting my story. Yes. Oh, good, good. Also, ladies, I am thinking of having Michelle from San Miguel de Allende, who has stepped into minister. Thank you, Antoinette. Who has stepped into the co-living space. So we're going to be discussing that and what she's doing over there in Mexico. And I'll post it when we come together. It's going to be on a Friday afternoon, on a Saturday afternoon, which is where I usually have my lives. All right, so let me know if you're interested, and maybe I'll post something where you could send me some questions about what exactly do you want to know, because she's doing it. She's doing it. HBF5, au revoir. Bye, guys. Have you found a church there as yet? Not particular me. But there are church options here. Yes. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.